Well, what about mathematical formulas that are made for medical diagnoses? Today, we talk about kidney disease and the medical formula that will determine if an individual goes on dialysis or gets a kidney transplant, and how that formula is basically faulty. Everything from that to climate change. We talk about that on the Data Show right now. Here we are again at the Data Show. For the next 30 minutes, we talk about data. We talk about different types of data. We talk about how to come about data, what happens when we use faulty data, those types of things. So let's get down to basic brass tacks on this. Data is sometimes gathered. We gather data. We do so by means of a formula. Now, last week, we talked about the cholesterol formula, and we talked about how that's been 50 years old and it's probably outdated, and how there are some other formulas there that can take its place and that might be a better indication of your overall cholesterol, your bad cholesterol, your good cholesterol, all those other things. Today, we're going to talk about is kidney disease. We're going to talk about the what is the formula that determines whether or not you're going to get a transplant? And we're going to talk about, I'm going to make sure that I have the references here for you. I'm going to make sure that we talk about this. But the first thing we want to do is to determine, what is kidney disease and what causes it, right? Well, we don't, there's a lot of causes kidney disease, anything from diabetes to an injury, it could be organic, those are the things that happen. But what is the indication that there's a problem with your kidney? And that is called the glomerular filtration rate, GFR. And this is what you're trying to get at, right? So we're going to talk about two different types of formulas here. Now, the reason I'm going through this in any case is because there was a media coverage that said that basically Americans of African descent were not making it on the transplant list as quickly as whites were, and that they were trying to figure out, and it turns out that this formula that ends up to be the glomerular filtration rate is faulty, and it is faulty. I took a look at it. Yes, I can't even believe in a million years that we've allowed this to occur. I mean, it gets kind of crazy, but this is what they're dealing with. So we're going to talk about these different formulas right now. The first one we're going to talk about is the modification of diet and renal disease study equation, MDRD, and then a chronic kidney disease epidemiology collaboration, which is for those that are under age 18. But the first one we're going to talk about is this MDRD, right? And each one of these areas we need to talk about separately. So we have the GFR, which we've already talked about, the glomerular filtration rate, right? And that's in milliliters minimum, and then your 1.73 square meters. Now, your 1.73 square meters is your body area. I guess that's the body area that is the measure of how efficient this filtration rate is doing. So basically what happens is your kidneys have to filtrate. They've got to filtrate poisons. That's what kidneys are for. And then you basically, through urination, you get rid of those poisons. So what happens is that when your kidneys cannot filtrate as much as they should, then they start to get into this. You start to get into basically a hazardous situation with your kidneys. So that's what that GFR is measuring, right? And there's a couple of areas here like SCR. What's SCR? So I have these here. Your SCR is your serum creatinine. Now, if you've ever had a blood test, you'll find that your serum serum creatinine is part of the actual the blood test. And I never understood what serum creatinine was, right? But that is that is part of the overall blood. When you have a blood test and they test certain things, this is one of the things they test. It's called assaying, right? They test it. So that's the SCR, and then you have age, which good enough, right? We can do that, and then you have this multiplied times 0.742 if you're a female. So this is an interesting aspect. Basically, what you're doing is you're increasing it 0.742, um, because the patient is a female. And if you're African American, if you're American of African descent, it's 1.212. You're multiplying it times 1.212. Now you might say, well, what difference does that make? The more you have, the higher GFR you have, the better. So you could have a situation where that would be, it could actually hurt you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually run one of these things, right? So first of all, what's a normal SCR, right? So SCR normal 0.74 to 1.35 for men, 0.59 to 1.04 milligram per deciliter for women. Same thing, milligram per deciliter. So that's what an SCR normal is, right? For men, for women. Doesn't say African American, American of African descent men. Doesn't say African American descent women. It just says boom. That's it. So basically, what's happened is that in this formula, the formula is assuming that Americans of African descent have an overall better filtration rate in their kidneys than others, right? And you sit back and you go, gee, when was that done? So I haven't researched that. I don't know what the idea behind this was, but that's what's happening with this GFR thing. So, and then you have the normal, the GFR normal, right? 19 to 75 for men, ages 19 to 75 for men, 77 to 160 milliliter per minimum per BSA, body surface area, which is that 1.73 meters squared. That's BSA, body surface area, right? Women, it's look how it's broken down. I mean, it's really broken down here. But this is 19 to 75. 18 to 29, 30 to 39. See how it's reducing? It's reducing all the way until I get to 72, and then all of a sudden it's 131. So interestingly enough, by having that normality thing, that you're having, that's that 0.762 thing that we talked about up here, which is interesting. I'm just not really sure about that, right? So let's talk about the SR. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to have SCR. So the SCR is going to be, we're going to put in here that it's going to be a male. All right, we're going to say it's a male. And we're going to say it's going to be 1.00. That's your normal. So we're going to put 1.00, actually 1. Your oops, I'm sorry. So your SCR is going to be 1. Age, we're going to put down here that the age of the male is going to be 40 years old. Okay. Female, nope, it's a male. African American, now, we're going to leave that go for now. And then we're going to have this all the way here. What's this going to be equal to? It's going to be equal to 175, right, times the SCR, which is going to be 1, 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this little area here, so we have this, right? 1 to the negative 1.154, and then times age, which is going to be, in this case, it's going to be 40. But I'll tell you what, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to take this, and we're going to put this in here, so we can change this at any time, okay? And then this, we're going to put age, and this age is going to be to, negative 0.203, and then times, and we're going to put here 0.742, but what we're going to do is if it's a female, we're going to say it's 0, or if it's a male, it's 0, female, it's 1. So we're going to just kind of play with that. So times, and then we're going to put this right here, and then times 0.742. And then we have one more thing here, and that's if it's African American, right? If it's American of African descent, times, and again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do African American. We're going to say we're going to put here times 1.212. Okay. Now here we're going to put 0 here and 0 here. Now the problem is when I did that, I'm multiplying everything. So if I'm multiplying all this, the problem is that I'm going to have a problem if I don't have that area in here. It's going to be 0, right? But if I put, it's all going to be 0, which is not what I want to do. So in other words, if I put 1 here and 1 here, then I have a GFR of 74.4. Now, take a look at this for a second. One, I made it a female, and this 40, and I made it American of African descent. It's 74. If I eliminate this, and the problem is, I guess I'm just gonna have to just kill that. I have to kill that and just put, see, because the minute I put 0 there, I'm dead. So I'm just gonna take that whole thing out. What happens if I take away the American of African descent? Now I'm down to 61. Well, let's say I get rid of the female. So now I get rid of the female here, okay, and I have 82. So basically, I don't have, it's not American, it's not female, it's not American of African descent. So I have an SCR of 1, I have an age of 40, I'm 82, I'm great shape, 82, right? So let's say I do 50. What it turns out? It turns out at 50, my GFR now is 79. I've lowered it somewhat. Let's say the SCR is, I don't know, 0.80, you know? I'm doing a great job. My serum creatinine, in other words, my serum creatinine is low. If it's lower, then I have a great GFR. So if I'm higher, then I don't. So now let's say 1.2. Okay, now I'm down to 64. Now, if I do African American here, let's say I say, well, oh, by the way, and I'm a male of African American, so I'm going to say times 1.212, which is the multiplication aspect. Now I'm up to 77. I'm up to 77 just from that standpoint. So, here's a situation where you take a look and you say, geez, Louise, I'm a male of 50 with a serum creatinine of 1.2. Because I am American of African descent, no matter what, if I have any, if I'm saying, yes, I'm American of African descent, all of a sudden now I have a higher GFR. If I have a higher GFR, remember, higher the better, right? Higher the better. So here, let me show this to you again. So 64 if I'm male, 64 if I'm male, 50, serum creatinine of 1.2. If I am if I'm a male, age 50, serum 1.2, and I'm an American of African descent, it goes up 13 points from 64 up to 77. So basically, okay, so let's say it's really bad, right? Let's say I'm at 1.5. Okay, so now I'm at 60, right? So I sit back and I go, what should I be? So I should be somewhere between 77 and 160, right? So I'm at this point, I'm 60. And that's with, with being an African American, right? Or an American of African descent. So let's say, but I'm 30 years old. Now I'm 66. So let's say I have a serum creatinine of, I don't know, normal 1.2. Oops, wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, I'm at 86. This is if I am African American. Remember that 1.212. Let's get rid of this. I'm 71. So guess what? Guess what I'm now lower than the minimum for GFR for men. If I were American of African descent, I'm good. I'm good. Try one more time. So this is non this is Americans of non-African descent, right? So times 1.212, 86. I am good. I'm good. So if I'm not of African descent, I'm having problems with my kidneys. I may get dialysis. I mean, something may happen to me here. That does not mean that the male of African descent, American of African descent, is not going to need that. But according to the formula, they don't. According to the formula, they don't. So let's say that age 30, and this is age 30. So I mean, so now let's say I want to, let's say we're a female, right? So times 0.742 times. So I'm a female, right? And I'm of African descent. So all of a sudden I'm at 63. Now, what was the age? 30, right? So what's 30? 30, I should be at 72. And I'm at 63. And that's if I'm African American descent and a female, and age 30. So, I mean, I'm having a problem. So let's say, I don't know, let's say I'm age 40. I'm even lower. So I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, at this point, right? Because that's, this is what's happening with that area. But I'm still higher. If I were a female, look where I am. If I were a female and I was not of African descent, bang, I'm down to 49. So I'm still, as American of non-African descent, I am still going to get treatment or whatever it is because I have a lower GFR than a American female of African descent. So you can see where, I mean, this is very telling. This is very telling. Now, look, we're not here. I'm not here. I am here to give you the formula. I'm here to give you to make you as smart as possible about GFR and serum creatinine and everything else. Even though I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical person, I am a data guy. So what happens, when the data is collected? Well, the data is collected. It's going to be flawed. It's going to be biased data, folks. This is how data gets biased, is right here with this, right here. And it's funny because it's totally and completely available. It's not like people don't have the ability to do this. You want some of the, here's some of the, here it is. Here are some of the, take a look at it. Stop this, stop the video and take a look at this stuff. Take it down. This is how this stuff, GFR below 60, kidney disease. If you have a GFR below 60, you have kidney disease. So let's take a look at this one more time. So I have a GFR, I'm a female. GFR, I'm a female, right? I'm 40 years old. I have a serum creatinine level of 1.2. Boom. I'm 49. I have kidney disease, right? Now let's take a look at what happens if you take this and do this. Guess what? I'm 60.3. What does it say? It says GFR below 60, kidney disease. Just because I put in that additional multiplier in there and making it basically a female, an American female of African descent, all of a sudden that GFR is perfectly okay. Can you see where this is a problem? This is a problem, folks. Now, I'm not saying that the medical people are just kind of ignoring this. The media's grabbed a hold of this, and people have all of a sudden they waited a long time for them to get transplants, if ever, and now they're they're asking for reparations on the time that they waited for those. The reparations for them having to wait for them to get a kidney transplant. And I take a look at this, and folks, look, I'm not going to give you political aspirations or anything like that because I have none. But basically, it's something like this. I get it in this instance. I get it totally in this instance, because basically what their entire future as a living being was based on a calculation that, to me, I don't know where this came from. And I'll tell you something, I'd like to know where it came from. I would like somebody in the medical community to say, why is it that we had a multiplier of 1.212? I want to know that. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. Doesn't mean it's not there. But I mean, I researched it. I tried to find exactly what's going on here. But that's not. I mean, look at this one. This one is what they call the CKD EDI, which is chronic kidney disease epidemiology collaboration, right? And look at this again. You have 141 times what they call the minimum. Now, the minimum here is minimum of SCR over K or 1, either one, max of SCR K over 1. Now, this is based on an average. Same thing here, folks. This is based on an average SCR over a period of time. So, I'm just taking a snapshot in time and I'm putting it in there. But this is minimum and maximum times the maximum. And then you have age, and then this multiplier for female, and then 1.159 if the individual is of African descent. Again, you have this situation where if you're female, you're going to have a higher GFR, right? And if you're of African descent, you're going to have a much higher one. This one was 1.212. This one is well, I shouldn't say, I'm sorry. It's going to be a little bit less than that. So 1.212, this is 1.159. So it's going to be a little bit less than what it is up here, but still it's a multiplier. It is a multiplier. So, I mean, it's very interesting how that works. So I'm going to have, let's say, we're going to just do a GFR here real quick. We're going to see if again, these are all going to be made up. These are contrived figures. All right. They're not real. I'm just showing you the figures to have you look to the formula and see how all that stuff works. So let's say this is going to be a male. Let's say it's supposed to be under 18. So let's say it's 17, right? SCR is going to be 1, serum creatinine, and my K is going to be or 1. So we're going to just make we're just going to make the K1 at this point in time. Female, we're going to say yes. The alpha, now the alpha is this thing right here. This is an alpha. And the alpha is going to be negative 0.329 for females and negative 4.411 for males. So we're going to make this a male. So it's going to be a male. So female, no. The age 17, black, and then we're going to have 4159. Okay. So the female is going to be 1.018. Black is going to be 1.159. And then the alpha is going to be, it's going to be a male. So it's going to be negative 0.411. So that's the alpha. All right. So let's do the formula. So it's going to be equal to 141 times, it's going to be 1 on both of those. So basically everything on there is going to go away because it's going to be 1. It's going to be 1 to alpha. So it's going to be, the alpha is going to be negative 0.411 times 1, and it's going to be negative 1.209, and then times 0.993 to the age is going to be 17. And then what we're going to do is we're just not going to make this either a female or African American. We'll make this a male. So it's going to be, my GFR is 125. I'm in really, really good shape, right? I'm in really, really good shape. So let's say instead of doing this, I'm going to make, let's see, the age is 17. I'm going to make this 30. So I'm at 114. Still, I'm in good shape because this is serum creatinine, right? Um, then let's see, what do I have next? So I have, because remember, one to anything. Oh, anyways, so let's say my minimum serum creatinine is going to be 0.80. So if I do that, it's actually going to go up, because remember, minimum means that it's less. The less serum creatinine that I have, the better my kidneys are working. That's the way it works. All right, so now, at least that's the way I think it works. So now let's say the minimum here is, oh, I don't know, 1.20. That lowers it significantly. And I'm going to lower this one. The maximum is going to be, oh, I don't know, 1.35. So I'm now down to 73. So, and that was age 30. Okay. So now I take a look at this and I go, whoa, what the heck is going on here? So I'm at age 30. I should be at 77. I'm at 73. I'm at 73. Now, I multiply this times 1.159. Boom, I'm at 85. So I just put in the American of African descent. Bang, it went up to 85. So even though I was close, I was 73. Remember, we're getting down there around, remember 60 is kidney disease, anything lower than 60. But all of a sudden, boom, I popped this thing up 12 points. I popped it up 12 points just because of the descent, just because the individual is of African descent. So, I mean, this is something. Now, I was going to talk about climate change, but I'm running short on time. But I would like people to take a look at this thing. And, the thing I want you to do, as data people, don't just take a look at the data. Do not take a look at the data. Not just take a look at data. Take a look at where the data is derived. If the data is derived from a formula, check that formula. Check that formula, because it is absolutely essential that that formula is accurate as possible, reliable, repeatable, all those things that make it a valid formula, so that we can rely on that formula for the data to be able to make the data unbiased, reliable, repeatable, accurate, all those things we have. If you don't have a good formula, and this, ladies and gentlemen, my opinion only, is not a good formula, especially if it singles out things like females and things like being of African descent. It's not good. It's not good. It basically, it would be the same thing as saying, well, I'm of Italian descent, so therefore we're going to increase your GFR. We're going to put a multiplier in there. Why just those people of African descent? That's a thing that just blows my mind. Why is that? Why single that out? So hopefully, with the media covering it like they're doing, and I have to commend the media for doing this, that's good. I wish the media would have gone into it, because once I heard about it, then I went into the research mode and tried to put as much in this as possible. But at least what this does is this gives you an idea as to what is being used. And that's not cool, right? This Cockcroft and Galt formula is from 1973. This is the third formula here. You notice it's for research only. Guess what it doesn't have? Guess what it does not have? It does not have a multiplier for Americans of African descent. For female it does, but not for individuals of African descent. So, anyways, I'll be more than happy if you email me, and I've told you what my email is before. Please, if you want this, you can certainly send me an email. This is my email. I'd be more than happy to send you this worksheet. I'll send you the worksheet. You can do the stuff yourself. That's not a problem. So, and like I said, I was going to talk about climate change, but we'll do that another time. But the bottom line is this: is that we have to be better at taking a look at things like formulas, especially when it comes down to getting data from that formula, and be able to be better at this stuff. We've got to be better at it, and we've got to be more informed. Please be more informed of this. Do the research. It's not hard to do. You go out there. That's why you have all these areas. You have all these search engines. So in the meantime, this is Chris Greco, thanking you again for watching the Data Show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next Data Show.